Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to finally get round to building a fence around the farm, which is something we've needed to for quite a while, but I'm only just getting around to it. And the reason is that I couldn't quite decide how the fence should be. Initially I was thinking of going out and buying some timber and actually building, a proper fence, but I was hesitant to do that for a couple of reasons. One, it can be a bit expensive. And two, I just didn't think it was quite in line with what we want the farm to be. So it took me a long time to finally land on the decision to make what's called a dead hedge, which should have really been like a 2-second split decision. Fence? No, dead hedge. But it's taken me a long time to get around to it, so at last today I'm going to start building that. Now, what is a dead hedge, and why am I choosing that over a different kind of fence? Well, a dead hedge, like the name suggests, is basically a hedgerow made of dead materials. And there's a few reasons that I'm going to be building this today. One, it's free. Two, don't have to go and gather materials from the shop. I can gather materials from around the land, which is cleaning up the land, making it safer for us to work in certain areas. 3, is a little bit easier to build than a fence. You don't have to be measuring poles and hammering nails and whatnot. So it's all just about stacking materials. It's quite an easy process. And 4, it actually has tremendous benefits for wildlife, like certain nesting birds, small rodents like hedgehogs and mice and things, and insects, which can all have reciprocal benefits in our permaculture farm. And that's really why I'm building this, because we want to define the boundaries of the farm, so that we know where we want to be growing our food and where we want to be keeping the woodland flora away from. A regular fence didn't really make sense, but a hedgerow helps the farm become part of the ecosystem in a way, and will hopefully benefit what we're doing here in the long term. I did actually try to build a bit of a dead hedge last year up next to my camp. I just sort of piled up a load of twigs together. It was mainly just to provide some privacy and a sound barrier for myself when I'm camping there, so that I couldn't hear cars and whatnot as easily on the road. I did actually film the process, but I never used that video. So what I'm going to do, because this year I'm trying to clean up my hard drive a bit, and to make room for all the videos that we're going to be making this year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play about a minute of that footage now. I'm going to put a timestamp here so you can skip it if you want to. But just for the sake of using that footage and getting it out there, here is my first attempt at a dead hedge from last summer. So as you can see, it's not much of a dead hedge, it's just a long pile of twigs. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go dismantle that today. I'm going to use those twigs to start working on the dead hedge around this farm. I'm also going to go around and gather some other materials from around the woodland. I don't have many tools with me today, I didn't bring anything with me, so we're just going to be working with what we've got here on the farm already. So let's get started on that, and along the way I will explain more about what a dead hedge is and the ecological benefits of building one over a conventional fence. second thought, I might leave this patch here and then dismantle the rest of it that goes about 40 feet that way, just to save myself some work. And also, if I do want to camp here again, it still just provides a little bit of a, little bit of a shelter. So I think I'm going to focus on dismantling that area there, and then gathering the rest of the twigs around here and somehow carting them all down to the farm. It's going to be a lot of work, but it needs doing. Some of these bits I am going to keep up here, just because they make great firewood. Like this log here, it's like perfectly dry, it's decent size. So what I'll do is I'll stack some of them up as firewood, but the thinner twigs on the branches I'll just use as a dead hedge. You do want a few thicker branches like this at the bottom of the dead hedge, or even on top, just to weigh everything down. But again, pieces like this make great firewood, so when I am camping up here or just having a little campfire, I'd rather save good pieces like this. I mean, there's never going to be a shortage of firewood around here, but you know, might as well use it. Okay, I think that's enough to get us started for now with just basic twigs. We're going to do it.
20 minutes later.
You must excuse me, I'm just getting over a very bad 2-week chest infection. Anyway, excuse me. Right, so we're going to be doing it section by section, and of course the next thing we've got to do is get the posts, and I think I'm going to use the cherry laurel for that. We've already got some cherry laurel posts down at the farm that I was originally using to mark out the boundary, so I think we'll just continue to use them. They do have to be buried and be quite firm and rigid in the ground though, because you know you're going to be piling a lot of weight between them. You don't want it to move, so we're going to go do that section by section, and then unfortunately we've got to carry all this down bit by bit and then just stack it in between. Like I said, I don't know how much we're going to be able to get done today. Hopefully I'm going to be able to get something done without coughing all the time. But we'll just have to see what we can get done. If it takes a few days, it takes a few days. I'm not expecting everything to be a one-day project, but I'd definitely like to get this started so I can at least see what it's going to look like, and then we can carry on working on it in future videos. Okay, we're going to start with the posts down here in the corner of where our main path comes up through here. This will be the orchard one day, so I think I'm going to widen it a little bit, because originally this was the start of the farm, but I think I'm going to widen it both ways by about 5 or 6 feet, just to give us more room. It's a lot easier to do that now that it's winter. All the ferns have died down, and you can sort of define the boundary a bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the farm and pick up all of the cherry laurel posts that I've put before. We're going to bring them down here, and I'm going to start shaving them into spikes so that they can hammer down into the ground easier, and then we will start carting some of those twigs down here. So let's get all those cherry laurel posts all piled up here for now. I've also got this massive limb from a Douglas fir here. I don't know whether to... It's very thick down here, it's about 10 inches diameter, but I don't know whether to fill that in between the posts or to cut it up and use it as posts. We'll see. I'll move it to the side for now. A lot of these posts were already buried in the ground, so I might be making more work for myself by pulling them out just to put them back in again. But, I want to do it properly. I want this dead hedge to be a permanent feature, so I'd rather get them buried properly and in the correct places, so that way I know it's going to last a long time and, actually serve a purpose. A lot of those are actually frozen in the ground. So the next step is to, like I said, chop them into spikes and try to bury them about a foot in the ground, I reckon, just so that they've got plenty of stability in there, that when I'm piling the twigs in between the spokes, they're not going to move out the way and potentially collapse. I'm going to start in that corner down there, and then I think I'm just going to work up here for now, see how long it takes to get that part done, and then we'll continue around the farm from there. So I want to find a fairly straight and long one to start with. That's the perfect one there. So it's about 4 feet long, which means I've got to figure out how tall I actually want the fence to be. If I'm going to bury it about a foot down, then that's only going to be to there. Some of these might be too short. I don't know, maybe a foot is a little bit overkill, we'll see. I'm just going to chip it away into a spike to start with. I only had these on for the twigs. I might as well just be hammering it off. This hatchet has gotten so dull. I mean, I've had it for a while, I've put it through quite a lot, but it's just nothing to that. There's no edge to it whatsoever. That's a bit better. I think that will do for now. Let's just see how easily it goes in. I'm also just going to get something to dig a little hole, so you know, just to help it in a bit easier. This will do. Like I said, I want to expand the original boundary that we were planning by about 5 feet either way. So I think I'm going to do one post, and then about 2 feet that way we're going to do another post. So then you've got two that you pile the twigs in between. Right, that's a pretty good start. Let's put this new mould to good use. I can hear our buzzard friend again. So again, I'm going to go about 2 feet this way to about here, 1.5 feet, 2 feet. That's where I want it. This chest infection has really made working difficult. That's where I want it, right there. Ooh. It's a little bit shorter than what I was originally hoping for. So with the next few posts, I'm going to try and aim for about 3.5 feet tall. Just so, you know, one, I think it will look nicer just being a bit taller, and secondly, it will do a better job at keeping deer out and things like that. But the beauty of a dead hedge is that you can really define exactly how big you want it, but it doesn't need to be exact. It's not like a fence where you need to measure every post to be exactly the same and then bury them the same depth so that they're all level. It's an organic fence, so it's going to be messy. It's going to look a little bit rustic. So, and plus the other thing about dead hedge is that because it's dead, it's going to be decomposing, so you need to be constantly topping it up anyway. So you can always change it at a later date, and the posts will need replacing one day. Eventually they're going to rot too. So it's really not an exact science. You can do, you know, whatever you want to do with it. The posts don't have to be level. The twigs don't all have to be the same. They, you know, just chuck them in there. It's just a quick rough boundary basically. But these two have done pretty good. They're fairly solid in the ground. That one's definitely doing good. This one's a little bit wobbly, but they are strong enough to hold twigs. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go about 4 or 5 feet this way and then put the next one in, and then again and then again and again, all the way around the farm until we've got a 2-foot wide wall essentially around the whole farm. And then if we've got time, it's 20 to 2, but it's winter and daytime does not exist here, so if we've got time we'll start bringing those twigs down and piling them up in between. If we can at least get this one stretch done from the entrance of the farm here to where the rotten tree stump is next to our almond tree at the edge of the orchard, then that will be good, because at least it will serve as a proof of concept to prove that it can work. It gives you guys an idea, and then we'll continue working on it in future episodes. So anyway, I'm going to carry on with this section here. I hope I can get that done, and then potentially more, and we'll just see how it goes. Let's go. I think I underestimated how much work this was going to be, and it's not easy when I'm still getting over this horrible chest infection, but I've done 5 posts, better than nothing. As always, I was foolishly optimistic and thought I'd be able to get the whole thing done today, the whole perimeter of the farm with the twigs shoved in between and everything, but at the moment it's barely looking like I'm going to reach that goal over there, but we're carrying on anyway. Some of the posts are going in really well. That last one there took about 25 minutes just to get it in. But something really cool I've just discovered. So you can see where the grass has been growing is sort of where the boundary of the farm is at the moment, because that's where we've been clearing the fern and the bracken up to, so it's allowed room for the grass to grow. But I've just been raking this back so I can access this next plot here, and look what I've just found here. There we go. I think you can see that. I can't see it on the little screen on this camera, but we have a very young tree coming through here. I'm not sure what it is. It's got little green buds on there. No, I don't think it's going to focus. So I'm not sure what that is. It doesn't look like a holly. It's got the buds on there, and holly would have leaves on it already. It could be a birch or something. There's actually another tiny one next to it as well. I'm not too sure what to do about it, because obviously I don't want to damage it, because, you know, pretty soon we're going to be planting trees in this entire area up here. So it'd be very counterproductive to destroy one that's already growing here. I could potentially transplant it to over there. However, can't guarantee it's going to survive. But I do want to try to save it, because otherwise it's just going to be buried in all of the twigs and stuff that's going to pile on top of it. So I've never noticed that before. It's only small, but it's been buried by all these bracken here. So I'm definitely going to try to save it. But that is a really good sign, because as you may have heard in many of my other videos and YouTube shorts, this whole area here, this is an area that I call Douglas Downs. This whole sort of from Old Growth Grove is the lovely area of woodland up there. Douglas Downs stretches from there down to that Douglas fir way through there, which is our main entrance to the land. And the reason it's called Douglas Downs is obviously we did have all these massive Douglas fir trees here once upon a time. There's plenty of them around still, but there were hundreds here before, and they were obviously all harvested for timber when my grandfather cut them down in between 2009 and 2014. I don't know when exactly the main body of work took place, but when I look at old satellite images, they're the 2 years in which, or between which, the Douglas firs were all cut down. So I call this area Douglas Downs, but one of our main concerns with restoration is that this whole area has shown very little sign of natural regeneration, as I've said, you know, probably over a dozen times now on the channel. Up there on the hill, there are some lovely young birch trees come through, and right here, I believe that's an alder, or it could be a hazel, I'm not too sure. But otherwise, you know, this is what the majority of this area looks like. Bracken, brambles, dead, you know, Himalayan balsam in the summer, just completely out of control. And then you can see, here we go, these are the stumps left over. There's probably over a dozen stumps in this clearing, and then we've got about 6 or 7 stumps in the farm clearing there. One of our main concerns is that there's been such little sign of regeneration, apart from, like I said, the odd tree like this. But it's good to see that in the farm itself we do have now one very small sapling. So we're going to see if I can save it. I'm not going to do it today because I don't think I'm going to have time to actually pile the twigs into the dead hedge, but I will definitely remember that that's there, and I'm going to try to dig it out and then potentially move it up here maybe, and then put a tree guard around it, just a little, maybe use some old chicken wire or something. This is going to be our first main area of planting, next to this fallen Douglas fir here, this uprooted, and then my grandfather chopped it up, and I'm also going to be doing something with this. I think I might carve a bench into it, or just some sort of decorative feature, I don't know. For now though, it's quite a cool feature that always gets buried in summer, so I've cleared it now just to see how big it is, and it's quite cool. There's a massive Douglas fir, you can see the root ball down there. But for now I'm just going to continue focusing on the work, and then I'll bear that in mind for another day and try to get to it before the browsers get to it. I did these two a little bit wider apart. I didn't mean to, but I mean it's only about half a foot wider. But we're going to try to keep a straight line up here now. And then that tree's down there, so as I said, I'm going to try to save that if we can. It's going well, it's just taken a very, very long time. I take back what I said last year, that cherry laurel is an easy wood to work with. It's really not. I don't know if it's the wood, or how blunt my hatchet is, or how out of breath I am today. I don't know, probably a mix of all three. But the longest process so far has just been chipping down the edges or the ends of the branches to make a point so that it will hammer more easily into the ground. But if I have my proper Husqvarna axe with me, what I can do is you know, stand it up and just chip off the edges like this, and it will just be so much quicker. So that's been the hardest part so far, surprisingly. Burying the post is pretty easy, you know, given I don't find some roots or some stones in the ground. Anyway, we're doing pretty good, so I'm going to carry on up to where the camera is there, which will be in line with this tree stump and that weird random makeshift gate thing that I made a few videos ago. This section should hopefully be done today. I mean, it's 20 to 3. Technically we've got about an hour and a half of sunlight left, but the sun's already very low. There's no sun here now. I'm actually getting pretty cold now, so I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. But hopefully I can just get up to here and then pile the twigs in and then call it a day from there. And as I said, this is going to be a recurring process in the videos, I think. The orchard, actually looking at it now, I've gone off at an angle on account of that being a bit wider in that last one. So that's fine, because like I said, it's an organic fence, so I'm going to try to steer back this way about 8 to 10 inches, so I can really get, because I'm just looking at it from back here. And actually we've lost some space in the orchard now. I should have actually moved this whole thing about a foot that way. It's fine, we've got plenty of space to work with. I'm being greedy. Let's just make sure this last bit is a little bit wider so we've got some more room here. I don't want to sacrifice this area here. This part down here is thin anyway, so that's fine. The problem is things change so much, you know, over the seasons as the bracken, you know, grows and then recedes in winter. You know, you sort of lose your bearings a little bit. We've got a general square here, but the square grows and shrinks and the boundary shifts. That's why I'm doing this today. I've actually sacrificed about 10 inches here, but it's fine. You know, you can't. What was it Alan Watts said? Nature is wiggly, and the whole enterprise of human civilization is about dropping a fishnet on top of a wiggly world and trying to mark out square boundaries, and it doesn't work. So I've got to accept that lesson and accept that I've lost 10 inches of my orchard. I'm joking. Right, let's carry on. Another 4 feet up here, and then maybe one more actually, and then we might be there. There I was this morning. I didn't get here till 12, and I was still convincing myself, oh yeah, you can get the whole farm done. It's a 12 metre by 17 metre rectangle, and there I was telling myself I could get a whole dead hedge built around in one day. Maybe in the summertime, if I got down here at 8 o'clock and we had, you know, 12 or 13 hours of sunlight instead of 6, then yeah, I'd be able to get more done. But anyway, let's crack on with it. Ah, this might be easier. This is much easier. Just gotta watch my thumb and my face. So there we have it. That's all the work I've got time for and the air for today. Winter's a difficult time. It's not only dark, you get sick, so you know it's a compromise. In another video I'm going to carry on moving these twigs from up here down there, and like I said, there's plenty of other twigs around. Got a woodland full of wood to use, so it's not like we're going to struggle to find that, but it's going to be a lot of labour moving it down there. But we did manage to get the section done that I wanted to get done, so that's good. The posts are quite sturdy in there, which I'm pleased with. I think next time we'll talk more about the benefits, the ecological benefits of a dead hedge. I'm also going to be releasing more sort of unseen videos from last year over the next few weeks. There might be one out already, and I think there'll be one or two more maybe. And like I said, this is just because I'm trying to clear out some space on my computer's hard drive, just to declutter a little bit so it's easier going forward this year with video editing, because there's not going to be files and files of unused videos. I can organise things a bit better. So keep an eye out on the channel for those videos. You know, they're just going to be B-roll of me working basically, but like I said, I don't really like to leave things undone, so I want to get them published just so that they're off the hard drive. I can delete the videos then, and at least they're saved on YouTube as part of the video diary. And going forward this year, I really want to, you know, have this more focused style of in my videos of this kind of thing, of the work. Last year a lot of the videos were experimental basically, just testing the waters of what I like to film, you know, how easy is it to film down here, and what you guys like to see as well. But I think, yeah, going forward we've got a much clearer idea of the videos that we want to be posting. So this is the start of the new season of the Wellstead. 2026 is here, and we're already kicking it off with a big project that's needed doing for a while. I've got a few more projects that I'm going to be working on before spring, so I've got a long list of video ideas to film between now and spring. It's the 10th of January today, but I don't know if this video is going to come out soon or if it's going to come out maybe early February or something. But those projects include building a log store, opening up the bottom driveway again so that we've got better access to the land, and more videos of general maintenance around the land. And one that I'm really excited for is I'm going to be opening up the lake pretty soon, so taking a chainsaw to all the laurel there, clearing as much as I can, removing a lot of the rubbish that's been left there, and yeah, just really exploring the lake. And we're also going to be getting the water tested, both for ecological purposes, but also because I'd love to be able to just, on a hot summer's day, jump in that lake and go for a little dip. So I've got to get that all, you know, tested for parasites and things like that. But it would also be great to see the ecological state of that lake. And then as we come close to spring, there's going to be a lot of gardening videos as well, focusing on the permaculture farm. We really need to get that fully established this year. And of course tree planting, because of all the donations that we've received so far on our GoFundMe. Very soon we're going to be planting the trees. It's just a case of now deciding what species we want and then what quantity. And as I said, your guys' donations have contributed a great deal to that, so we're going to be able to get even more than we would have beforehand. There's a lot of crows around me, surrounded by a murder of crows. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Again, I was very overly optimistic, thinking I could get the whole thing done today, but I think that's the shift in the videos that I've been talking about, is that last year I was trying to get everything sort of scripted and all in one video where you could see the whole process and I'd be commentating over it as well. But I think from now on I want to get back to a more sort of organic and authentic feel to the videos. Just you guys seeing the process, and with the occasional educational video or scripted update video. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be a great season. It means we can start doing more proper projects now, so this is the start of that. Look out on the channel for more of those videos. Thank you for watching, guys. Subscribe to the Wellstead. It's going to be a great year, and this is only the beginning. See you in the next video, whenever that is and whatever we might be doing.